Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trade Insider podcast from the ICC Academy. We are the educational arm of the International Chamber of Commerce. My name's Will Moody and I am your host. In this episode, we spoke to Babatunde Agbeleye, the Relationship Manager West Africa for Wilben Trade and previously a trade finance specialist for Zenith Bank, where he spent over 15 years. Babatunde is also a graduate of our Certified Trade Finance Professional Program, the CTFP, and we spoke to him about his trade finance career so far and what impact the CTFP has had on his journey. We think you'll really enjoy this interview and especially the infectious enthusiasm and love Babatunde clearly has for trade finance. There are a lot of excellent pieces of advice and insight to learn from here. So enjoy the episode. If you want any further information about the CTFP, please visit our website at icc.academy. Thanks for listening. So if we could just start, if you could tell me what your current role is exactly and what it involves on a day-to-day basis.
Of course, my role, I'm the relationship manager for West Africa for Wilben Trade. Wilben Trade is a Dubai-based company with head office in Dubai. And we're into trade finance, supplies, procurement, as well as providing trade finance solutions generally across several regions. We have several offices in Turkey, in Kenya, we're in London, we're in the UAE, like I said, which is the head office. Yeah. And I'm the relationship manager for West Africa, reporting to the head MD for Africa. Who is based in Dakar here. So Dakar is the head office for Africa. Like I said, we have an office based in Kenya as well. We probably have customers across Ghana, Nigeria, and across Africa generally. We're well established for that. So trade has been an in thing for Wilben. If I'm to go into what I do on a daily basis, it's a whole lot of things. Literally, it's to listen to clients, talk about their supply chain needs, and on the basis of that discussion, I try to extract their specific needs, whether be it suppliers credit or buyers credit or procurement needs, whatever form of need it might be. But the trick is in having to listen attentively to them, paying attention to what they are saying, and then having understood that, we come back inside with the team and hold the discussion to find a solution based on our product. If it's going to be extended import facility through our bankers, which we have across the world, we deal with major European banks, major Middle East banks. We also work with African banks in South Africa, in Ghana, and in Nigeria as well. So if it's going to be to facilitate that extended import facility through these banks, we will contact these banks and then provide the financial aspect of the trade based on a trade instrument, which could be letter of credit, it could be SBLC, it could be any of those instruments that they're willing to give us. Of course, we rate the risk of the bank where we're taking this instrument from, and then we place it in the market. So it could be via discounting or any one of these things. So that's what it entails.
Definitely, I noticed the emphasis there on the relationship part of the job. So listening to clients and customers, that sounds the most important element perhaps. So you talked obviously about your current role, but I just wondered if you could elaborate a bit more on your journey to get to this point where you are now. So I know you spent 15 years at...
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know about sort of where you started and how you progressed to where you are.
My journey into trade finance started in 2004. But prior to 2004, of course, I'd worked with a consulting firm, a management consulting firm, where I used to consult for banks on corporate strategies. And so I had the opportunities of interviewing back office and front office on their needs and how to incorporate that into their corporate strategy, and then also develop competitive strategies for them. So that was where I built the interest in looking at trade. Trade looks very, very interesting and dynamic. And of course, I had my background in agricultural economics, which also gave me a view of trade, globalization to be precise, in that regards, economics to be in that perspective. And so based on that, I picked up the interest, went for interviews, and Zenith Bank said, we can come over. And so I joined Zenith Bank in 2004, started work with them in June, and then resumed at the then documentary credit and collections department. And so it was from there, I started from the rudimentary basic things, which is the back office anyway, from filing to opening of, Nigeria uses what we call the FOMEMs. So opening of FOMEMs, attending to customers, processing the letter of credit, from all of that, processing an SBLC, processing collections of bill of exchange, acceptance, and all of that. So I did all of that at the back office. And from there until 2010, but prior to 2010, my role changed slightly to one that I had to interface with regulatory authorities and those that manages the inspection of goods into Nigeria. Then we had Cotecna, SGS, and Global Scan, and they were really working on inspecting goods that come to Nigeria with of course, an intent of generating revenue or duty revenue for the Nigerian government. And so I relate with those agencies and then take customers to meetings to resolve their issues. My interest changed slightly that, this is even more interesting, getting them to resolve their issues with the agencies. And that picked up something in me. So I made a request to the departmental head that I would love to move to, we call it the letter of credit desk, where I can actually process the fresh LCs and all of that. And that was granted in 2010. And that was what shaped my movement into trade sales, where, of course, from letter of credit processing, I started interfacing more with the conglomerates, the corporates, the high-end customers, and all of them discussing their trade needs, having understanding of what they do, and then facilitating a trade solution. And that, of course, gave me the leap into what I'm doing right now.
Okay. So what was it that initially appealed to you about trade finance when you decided to go down that path straight away?
The fact that you can reach out to the world anywhere you are, and things can move around easily with a good understanding of each party's needs. That's really got into me. And then secondly, of course, Africa is perceived in quotes as not as underdeveloped. You need to move from that position of Nigeria being import-driven to export-driven. That again, having studied agricultural economics, like I said, as a background, gave me that leap to say, okay, come, trade is actually cute. That is where I have my passion. Again, like I said, listening to clients talk about their needs and being in a position to meet that need. When I was with the commercial bank, I felt a bit restricted because I was working with only one bank. My role would be more or less to focus on just our customers. But today, I don't focus on just one customer from one bank. I can focus on customers across banks across West Africa. So as many customers as I need of the solutions and then get those things sorted. So that again was a prompting for me. And that is a joy. I don't see it as boring.
Oh, fantastic. And are those things still what give you joy today?
Oh, yes, very much so. And that was one of the things I looked at with Wilben before I took on the job, and which is a trade sales job. It's front office, and it has to do. There is no one defined solution. Yes, we have basic products, but you have to be dynamic in your views. You need to look at things globally. What works in Nigeria may not work in Dubai. The trade finance concept will not work. So the fact that I'm in Nigeria does not mean that that is only where trade exists. So that was an attraction for me. And yeah, Wilben has really given me that leverage. I've traveled across many places to have discussions on trades. And a lot of banks are working with us. It's enormous what we can do. And in the last 1 year, 4 months I've joined, our trade has gone up to almost $1.7 billion,
Wow. Okay.
which for me, if I'm sitting still heading just one desk with three people,
Yeah.
unlike now that I'm overseeing West Africa, probably maybe I will just be looking at some small figure somewhere and I'll still be rejoicing. So trade gives you that view, and that's the view I love to see. I love to see that global view of trade as it exists.
The international element of trade and the variety of the work and the solutions you have to create is other sort of key aspects for you. Fantastic.
Yes.
So just coming to the CTFP, the Certified Trade Finance Professional, what was your motivation to take that?
In 2010, prior to 2010, of course, I joined Trade Finance Department in 2004. And I didn't really have a vision. I was just working. I was happy because I got awards, MDCO awards, departmental head awards. I was happy, but I didn't really have a concept of what I really wanted out of trade until 2010, when through London Institute of Banking and Finance, I took on the certificate in the International Trade Finance exam. And it looked rather interesting. It opened my eyes a bit. And then in order to understand what I was doing at my desk, I also did the certificate in documentary credit exam, CDCS, with London Institute of Banking and Finance, which of course I was able to pass. And that gave me an understanding of what I was doing at my desk, opened my eyes a bit. But I noticed that things were still a bit short. I didn't have the concept for trade sales. I didn't have the concept for complex transactions, commodity finance, trade operations, as in the international, as it is internationally perceived. I didn't have the concept on so many other areas, structured trade, finance, and what I feel trade should look like, particularly given my test to be front office. So I joined ICC Nigeria, and through ICC Nigeria, they had informed of some programs with ICC. So I went into Google just walking around, and then I stumbled on ICC Singapore, with ICC Academy, and said, oh, this is a program. I saw the list of everything, and it warmed my heart. It warmed my heart immediately, and I felt, this is where to go. This is where to go. And so I informed my organization then that I need to take this exam if you really want to get the best out of me on trade sales. And so they supported me, and of course, I went through it, and I did the exam, and it's been fantastic. That was 2019 January, and barely 7 months after, Wilben came calling. So it actually opened, the door for me to the world generally. And again, I don't think that would have happened if I had not gotten those understanding from the CTFP program. And I'll be glad to refer that to anyone any day because it's broad. Apart from the fact that, yes, I had CBCS, I immediately introduced it to someone that, this is an exam you need to take within Wilben. And it's also certified now on CTFP. So it's a broad program. And the beautiful thing I love about it is dynamic. It's being improved upon every now and then. There's no particular textbook sitting down somewhere, dusting it 3 days after. No, you log on and there's a constant improvement on the program, so you get refreshed on what is going on around the world. So that gave me the leverage in understanding the trade, and that was why I took it. So I constantly visited the site, and I noticed in Cotam 2020, I told my organization that, no, you need to get everybody to do this now. So 10 people registered immediately for the ICC 2020, which of course they were taken, and I also took that exam as well last year. So that's been the journey too for the CTF.
You talked about the broadness of it. Was that a big appeal for you in terms of it doesn't cover just one instrument, it goes across the whole spectrum?
Yes, that was just it for me. And mind you, as a certified documentary credit specialist, I had the opportunity of taking lesser number of courses. Like maybe 4 or 5 to get certified. but rather I told them to register for everything. And I know that I want to see everything because it's about 9 of them or so that know everything. That seems to be some level of details, and the examples, making it pictorial, makes it very appealing to people. They could easily grab and understand. And yes, it's that for me was just it. So I watched, reviewed everything. Yes, I could have taken the exam 5 months after, based on the number of courses I was supposed to take as 6 years. But I need to look at everything. I just wanted to see everything. And that worked for me.
And then coming back to your career generally then, if you were advising someone who was sort of just starting out in trade finance, do you have any particular pieces of advice you'd give them?
Yes, I would advise that they need to be dynamic.
Okay.
They can't afford to be narrow-minded. Trade is big, it's wide. People want you to understand them. And it's different from one country to another. Yes, the concept might just be the same at the foundation, but as you look at it, you find out that it evolves. So you need to evolve with trade. So that's one major thing I'm going to advise that person to do. You need to be dynamic. You need to be a team player because you don't know it all. You will always find one person that has one very important details that matters, that can change things, that can make things happen. And you need to explore. You can't blame your progress on anybody. You need to sit down, ask yourself, what do I want out of this? If you want to just stay at your desk and do what you're doing every day of your life, then trade will entertain that. That's what you will know. You may never get challenged. You will be good, you'll be fast, but again, you won't go far. But if you explore and you open your mind, you see the world as it is, you'll be able to progress. So, bottom line, be a team player, be flexible, be dynamic, and be ready to explore.
You worked in the back office function and then in the front office. Is that a route you would recommend to other people?
We are all built differently, but if I'm going to be very personal, I would say yes.
Okay.
Because at the back office, you won't get to see much. You probably just be looking at documents. And I'll call it documentary credits. You just be looking at the documents, you just be flying away. But again, you can't put put it apart. You have to start from somewhere. The back end is equally important. That's where you have the support. Because even after you've had the discussion, you need to go back in house and look at the team and you have that discussion. And then you look at the team at the back end. If they don't maintain that relationship, you lose the client. If they don't provide the right documentation, so you lose the client. So you also need to have that understanding to review what they're doing. Otherwise, you will lose the client as well. So it's good that you start from somewhere. So back end, yes. If you can transit to front end, you're good. That is where to be. But not everybody gets that opportunity. But again, it's what I would recommend.
What's your favorite part of the job you do now?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. One thing at Wilben is we have the opportunity to discuss. We team up to discuss solutions, and that I enjoy pretty much. You having to sit down with. There's that barrier is not there. It's an open door. So you find it easy to sit down and then say, okay, how do we approach this? I enjoy sitting down, like I said before, with clients to listen to them, look at their supply chain, identify what those needs are. And precisely, if you can have two of you sitting in a meeting, it helps you to identify different things at one point or the other, and you can harmonize and agree. And then the solution aspect of it is beautiful. To sit down and conceptualize and then come up with a proposal, the term sheets and all of that. It's a joy to behold. So that for me, it's always something I love to do.
Okay.
And of course, when the solution wins and you have the money on the table, everybody's dancing. So that's it. But again, it's the platform. It's what the organization offers you. That's what makes it beautiful.
What do you find the most challenging part of the role?
Negotiations. if you have to, yes, you have a solution. Yes, you feel good. You now start discussing with the client. Okay, this is how much we're going to charge you. Said no, I'm not taking that. You have to agree on somewhere. It's difficult. At a point in time, good enough. The team is good. So even if I'm not having a breakthrough, it's there's a backup.
Okay. Yeah.
And that gives a leverage, really. So even if you're finding it difficult to penetrate, the team member can come in, particularly my MD Africa can come in and then put in one word or the other. And then we find out that we're able to resolve it. So for me, that's been the most difficult aspect of it. But another aspect of it is, yes, you've agreed the solution with the client, you've agreed the solution, you've agreed pricing. Then you now go to the banks that you want to work with and other parties outside that circle. They need to also accept that solution. They need to find that comforting. So that again is an area we also try to iron out. So those are more or less like the technical areas that we try to work with parties outside the trade itself that has been agreed.
What like industry sources do you use to keep up to date in the industry and keep? I know you've taken quite a few qualifications, but in terms of just day-to-day reading, is there anything that you keep track of?
Oh yes. For a job, you need to be on top of what you're doing. You need to keep track of your rates, like you need to keep track of the business reports coming out of Nigeria. Business Day helps with that. Business reports from South Africa, IOL reports also help. Bloomberg also helps. I check on those sites almost on a daily basis. Of course, there are conferences that are organized, like the GTR. Currently, GTR Middle East, North Africa will be taking place February 15th to 17th. That is there. So we are a very, very strong participant with the GTR. We also support and sponsor the program as well. I mean, Wilben in particular. So that for us is an avenue where we meet with companies, we discuss trade on a global level, and promote our trades as well. Of course, apart from that, I'm also on the WhatsApp group of ICC Nigeria, where you have representatives from the CBN, from Customs, from Central Bank of Nigeria, and about 85% of the banks in Nigeria are on that platform. So you get to know what is going on with the banks. You get to know what is going on in Nigeria. You get to know what is going on in trade generally, even ICC generally. So you know about the programs and what is coming up. Of course, I get updated from ICC Academia as well, on via mails, on programs. Like now, I've registered for this course, Ethical Marketing and Advertising Certificate, last January. And I'm taking that course with ICC Academy. It's just to make me understand marketing and advertising better generally across various regions, and then see how I can use that to better myself and the work I'm doing. So there are quite a lot of platforms, but trade is something you need to keep improving yourself every day, keep learning to know so that you don't stay out of touch.
It's really great to talk to you, Babatunde. Fantastic insight into your work and also the impact of the CTFP. So thank you very much for taking the time. Yeah, it's great to talk to you and have a good rest of the day.
And you too.